This bike has been developed with a $50,000 investment. This bike has been developed with a $50 million investment. That's obviously a big difference. But which one of these two machines will be faster today? Can the ultimate underdog do the impossible and dethrone the king of the game? Let's find out.
Big thank you goes out to our channel sponsors for supporting what we do and to our Patreon members as well. Join the 999 Laser team over at Patreon and get some cool perks like your name being featured in the credits of all of our videos.
Electric dirt bikes are here and it looks like they're here to stay. So love them or hate them, these things are going to change the way that our sport looks and sounds in the coming years. Obviously we know that the Stark made a big splash when it arrived on the scene a couple of years ago, and today we're seeing more and more new entrants come into the e-motocross world. And today we're putting one of those new entrants, this machine right here, head to head against the Stark, which is obviously the big dog in the electric motocross game. This is the Flux Performance Primo, the newest electric motocross bike to be hitting the market very soon. We've been invited out here to Croatia to be amongst the first in the world to ride this bike and see it in action. And of course, in true 999 Laser fashion, we'll be doing a Hotlaps showdown, putting this machine head to head against the Stark. But before I tell you more about this bike, let's hit the track, set some Hotlaps on the Stark to be our benchmark for the day.
So let's see what this Stark is made of, shall we? Behind the bars today doing the Hotlaps is our chief test rider, Sean Smith. He's crossed the line and the clock is on. He's riding here the Stark Varg Alpha, that's the full power version. This bike does actually have the handbrake up there on the left side of the handlebar instead of the normal rear brake pedal. So we knew that we had some rain forecast for this day late in the morning into the afternoon, so we got to the track at the crack of dawn and started riding straight away as soon as the sun was up, which I guess is the beauty of riding electric dirt bikes. We weren't going to be upsetting the neighbours. We could get out on track and get ripping straight away without worrying about upsetting anyone at 7 in the morning. So let's talk about that $50 million number that I mentioned at the start of the video. Stark received a €50 million investment from Royal Enfield, which is where we've got that number from. And I think it's fair to say, with that in mind, that Stark are most definitely the big dogs in this e-motocross game. They've invested a lot of money into developing this bike, and they invested a lot of money into the marketing and the launch of the machine as well. And it's definitely fair to say that Stark are using this investment to push the boundaries of the electric motocross market. There's no question that the Stark Varg is the absolute king of the electric motocross world. So let's see what this bike is made of. Sean's only got a handful of corners left to go in this hot lap on board the Stark Varg Alpha. 2 turns left, through the rollers here. Nice little wheel tap, double out. Into the final turn. On the gas, on the throttle, and up over the finish line. I'll reveal the lap times a little later on, but Sean's set the target, he's set the base lap. Now let's learn a little more about Flux. Flux Performance are a Slovenian-based company, and Slovenia borders Croatia, which explains why we are here, and they're looking to disrupt the EMX market with a potent machine with several special features. And we've got Marco, the CEO of Flux Performance, on hand to explain some of those features.
I'm here with Marco Yukota, the CEO and co-founder of Flux Performance. Marco, firstly tell us why. What's the mission here? Why have you guys decided to jump into the electric motocross market?
I just saw an amazing opportunity. Essentially, I've been living the problems of noise and maintenance through my whole racing career and life. And we see that the car industry has made the components ready to make a competitive bike today.
So your background is supermoto racing and your other co-founders are from an aerospace engineering background, right?
Exactly, yeah. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. I raced supermoto, and my co-founders come from aerospace. They aren't motorcycle riders, but they're genius in technology.
Firstly, tell us about this bike, the Primo. What does that mean? And going forward, what is going to change maybe?
Yeah, so the Primo means first in Italian. So this is our first step towards a production bike. And it's a rolling development platform, essentially. We are testing how the battery systems, the hardware and the software of the whole drivetrain unit works, and using then the puzzle pieces to make a production bike that's going to be really next level.
So this is by no means the finished product?
By any means.
But so today we're testing really the drivetrain, the powertrain, and how that performs compared to the market leader in the electric bike game, the Stark. What are the fundamental differences between what you guys are developing and what is already out there?
Yeah, so the main thing we're pushing for is more range. So a nice thing that we have is 10 years of mistakes in making battery systems, in making drivetrains and software, and that enables us to make a battery system that is safer, that is lighter for the same amount of capacity, and a whole drivetrain that just has technology that's more reliable and offers higher performance for less weight.
And tell us about the clutch you've got there on the front. How does that work? What is it? Explain it to me in layman's terms.
Yeah, it's a virtual clutch / regen. So essentially it's just a lever that puts out an analog signal that we can use in software however we like. So what we did is when you are off the throttle, it's behaving like a regen brake. So the engine brakes your rear wheel and it charges up the battery when it does that. When you're on the throttle, it behaves as a clutch, taking away power so you can modulate it or catch a whiskey throttle moment or whatever you need it for. When
you're talking about the main thing you're focusing is battery life and how long you can ride for. From talking to you today, you've said that you want to be realistic, you don't want to overpromise, but what is the aim, what is the kind of target that you guys are looking for the production version? Yeah, that's a bit of a problem in the whole EV industry is overpromising range, and then you're buying a bike, you're spending the money that you worked hard for, and the bike then doesn't do what you think it will do. So we don't want to do that. What we're aiming for is to actually be able to complete a full MXGP race at full pace, 35 minutes, or a whole day of an amateur on a track without having to recharge between rides. So you could come to a track like this, do your sessions and not have to worry about charging all day?
Yeah, not having to haul around the generator essentially.
Yeah. Obviously, we're at the very early stages with this version. You've been working on it for a couple of years, but what's the timeline, people watching, when might they be able to get their hands on a Flux machine?
Yeah, the rough timeline we're going for is to reveal the production bike at the end of this year and start first deliveries at the end of next year, so 2025. Of course, take it with a grain of salt because there's many milestones between here and there, but that's what we're going for.
And in the long term, what's the aim? Is it to take this race into MXGP? Is that the aim for you?
Yeah, my aim ultimately is to compete with gas bikes directly. Of course, the MXGP now has a separate class. I agree with what Stark has been saying, that it's not the way we want things to go. But of course, first we have to make a bike that can actually last the whole 35 minutes of the aliens that ride them.
Yeah. It sounds like an exciting future for you guys. We've been impressed with the bike already today. We're going to do some hot laps and see how it compares to the market leader in the electric bike game, but so far so good, I think.
Here's hoping.
Yeah. Marco, thanks for having us out. Thanks for showing us the bike.
Thank you very much.
We couldn't make videos like the one you're watching right now without the support of our channel sponsors. And one of those sponsors is 24MX. I literally don't travel anywhere anymore without my 24MX kit bag. It's got all of my riding gear in there, as well as my camera gear, the tripod and things like that. It comes with me wherever I go, including Croatia to test the Flux electric dirt bike. 24MX have loads of cool products, including this gear bag. I'll put a link to this bag in the description down below. Check them out, they've got loads of stuff on the site. There's always good deals as well, so be sure to check it out. So a big thank you goes to 24MX for helping us do what we do and make videos like this one.
So both Sean and I spun laps on board the Flux Primo to get a feel for the bike before things got serious and we got the stop watch out. Now I've explained where we got that $50 million number from for the Stark. Now the $50,000 number for the Flux comes from the investment that Marco himself put into the project to realise his dream and create this motorcycle. Now let's listen to the Flux Primo in action before we hear from Sean and before we get his hot lap underway.
Okay, Sean, so it's 8:45 in the morning and you've already completed laps on both of these bikes. We've got rain coming and we was on track at 7 in the morning, so it's been an early start, hasn't it? But
just a bit, yeah.
All in the name of bringing you great content. Talk us through the two bikes. You hit the track on the Stark first.
Yeah.
Give us your thoughts on that. You've ridden one before, but not in a while, and this had that handbrake.
Yeah. Like I say, we've tried the Stark before, but it was a deep, loamy sort of kind of soil, so we've first time on a proper hard pack Croatian track. And yeah, and the handbrake was the first time that I've ridden a Stark or any sort of you know, motocross bike with a handbrake like that.
You was a bit worried, wasn't you?
I was, yeah. And then you know, a few laps in, it's you understand how it's worked. There was a few moments I did go for the back brake, yeah, and I was a bit, but once I got used to it, yeah, you could manage it. I did find it quite enjoyable, not having to think about the foot brake, you know, just having the controls here. It just made you position better on the bike.
Yeah, you came in and you said to me, I don't think I could go faster around there on a gas bike.
No, no, for sure. I mean, it is, you know, hard pack track like the type of thing you get in Spain as well.
You spun the laps on the Stark and then straight away you hopped off that straight onto the Flux here, the Primo.
Yeah.
I think you're second rider outside of the company to ride the bike, is that right? Second journalist to ride the bike. Yeah. So that's pretty cool in itself.
Yeah, pretty much.
What were your thoughts jumping on that bike and then comparing it to the Stark?
So right, jumped on the Flux, and so it's got a unique clutch brake system, and it's so clever. I had to get my head around it because, you know, your controls there, it operates like a clutch and also a brake. Incredibly clever, incredibly clever. So I had a few laps trying to understand how that worked. Also has a foot brake, so I spun a few laps with the controls, you know, handbrake, how it was, and then I spun a few laps with the foot brake, and I found it, I was just faster with the foot brake because it brakes the back wheel. There's a lot more braking, there's a lot more power in it, whereas like the handbrake was braking the motor, so you couldn't be as aggressive on the brake. You know, it would progressively slow down. You know, once I got that dialed in, the actual bike itself was pretty damn good. Yeah, pretty damn good. I was blown away with it. The difference between the two was the traction, and I think that's possibly because we've got a slightly different tyre on the Stark.
It had the power.
Oh, it definitely had the power, yeah. But it was all controllable power. It's a 80 horsepower, isn't it? Yeah. The way it delivers its power is completely different to the Stark. It's 80 horsepower that you can use.
Usable,
yeah. And obviously you told me that it was in 80 horsepower, but you just forget and you're riding it, and you know it's nowhere near.
So it's not like a massive hit, but it would pull forever if you had a long enough bit of track?
It was really smooth, progressive, like I say, linear power. At one point, riding around, I did think, this feels a bit like the Kong, because of the way it made its power, do you know what I mean? In that sense, it was unreal,
So
absolutely unreal.
last question from me before we go and spin some fast laps and get the crossbox on to log your lap times. Does that feel like a 50,000 pound bike, and does that feel like a $50 million bike, or do they feel a lot closer
They
than that?
feel a lot closer. Yeah, a lot closer.
I mean, on track it didn't look any different when you were spinning those laps there.
Yeah. I mean, the geometries in the frame are different, and you could sort of tell that out on track. It felt like the steering angle was steeper on, on the Flux. Apart from that, they were, you want. They're two manufacturers that you would go to a showroom and buy. You wouldn't think that the development was any different between the two.
Safe to say, on your bike, the geometry might change when the production model comes out.
Yeah.
It will change, but you're like testing the powertrain today, and just seeing what that motor's like.
Exactly. What you're looking at here, is it's a Primo. It's number one. It is the first prototype that's been built. There isn't another one.
Yeah.
That's it. There isn't another one anywhere.
Yeah,
so
that's very cool.
you know what I mean.
You got
I
some
know.
laps on it.
So you've got to remember that this is something that's been developed by Marco.
And
phenomenal.
the team.
And the team, Marco and the team, and it's just phenomenal.
So let's gear you up. We'll spin some hot laps, and we'll return to this spot with the results.
So it's the moment of truth for the Flux Primo. Can the ultimate underdog do it? Can the Flux bike dethrone the Stark Varg as the king of the electric motocross game? The clock is on, the hot lap is underway, we're about to find out. So I think power delivery is going to be the name of the game here. How efficiently can the Flux get the power to the ground? That might make all the difference here on this slick, dry, hard-packed track here in Croatia. Marco shared with me that the motto for Flux Performance is to innovate where it matters. That's why they're focusing a lot on the motor, the drivetrain and the battery technology to try and increase range and performance as much as possible. They are focusing on that side of development at the moment rather than the chassis and suspension and things like that. They're rather focusing on the motor and performance. So like we've said, the Flux machine will most likely look very different once the production version comes out. But for right now, all Marco is trying to do is prove his platform and prove that they have the motor to take on the best in the business. And so far, so good for Sean. He's hanging it all out there on this dry, slick track and into the tight section of the track. The bike can get the power to the ground around corners like this, flat turns. That's where it might gain some advantages. Here we go, Sean is definitely hanging it all out there with just a handful of turns left to go. On the gas, up and over this small little tabletop. Land, very smooth, very flush. On the gas, into the braking bumps, 2 turns left to go. Will make his way through the roller section. With a nice little wheel tap and a double out. 1 turn left to go for Sean and the Flux Primo. Can the underdog do it? Can the underdog get the win today? Down the final straight, the home stretch. He's up and over the finish line. Which bike takes the win? Let's find out.
Right, so it's a moment of truth. Let's get these results. Marco's looking very nervous over there.
We're all looking nervous.
Producer Phil is going to bring us the results on a piece of paper here. Yeah, right, so I don't know the results, you don't know the results, Marco doesn't know the results. The only person that knows is Phil. So these are from the Crossbox, which is the device that we have on top of your lid, and it records the lap times dead accurately. So these are the official results. There's no slow trigger fingers here. This is what it is. So the Stark 141.7. Flux 139.22. Wow!
No!
And you were saying that
I can't believe
that moose would have been an advantage.
That's right. Anybody that rides motocross, that Stark's got a moose in it, and I'll tell you now that it tracks so well. When I was on that, it tracked so well and it felt so good. And I was a bit worried jumping on that, but I can't believe that. Honestly.
Wow, more than 2 seconds.
That is phenomenal. That's
Well
phenomenal.
done.
Yeah.
Well done, team.
Can you imagine if you had a moose in that? I'd knock another 2 seconds off.
Wow.
That's unreal.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh mate, I'll take my hat off to you. That's crazy. 50 million, 50k. Unreal.
And there we go. So
Gosh, shocking. Did
Right,
it look
it's-
faster?
I thought you looked really good. I thought, like I said, over the jumps, it looked like you landed it so plush and just putting the power to the ground straight away. Yeah, I thought you looked good. So when this bike hits the market, it will look different to this, I think. It will, but it's probably going to be a weapon out on track because it's just slain the Stark Varg.
I can't believe that.
So on that bombshell, let's end it there. Marco, thanks for bringing us out and showing us your bike. Thanks to the team for building such a weapon. Sean, thanks for spinning those laps. As always, my name is Max. You've been watching 999 Laser. Until next time, we'll see you at the track.